Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another exciting special episode of Uski and Herbie. We're in the morning. It is 10:15. Sorry, we started out a little bit later than we were scheduled to do. We had some stuff we had to take care of this morning. So let's give you the schedule. The schedule has been changed around a little bit. We're waiting for Sammy Jacobs from Hoosiers Huddle. Hoosiers are taking on Ole Miss today in the Outback Bowl. So we'll see who is going to be the bloomin' onion and who's going to be the coconut shrimp. That's what they do in the Outback Bowl. And then around 11 o'clock, around 10:30, we'll get our friend Olin Buchanan from TexAggies.com. We'll talk to him about the Aggies taking Jimbo Fisher taking on Mac Brown and the folks from North Carolina. Speaking of Jimbo and Mac Brown, we had interviews I did with them yesterday morning on New Year's Day. So and then there's the schedule. And around 11 o'clock, David Glenn from award-winning broadcaster from North Carolina, sports broadcaster, does used to do the David Glenn show down there, syndicated there in the Tar Heel State. He'll join us hopefully at 11. And then around 11:30, Jared Stansbury, who is the managing editor of the Cyclone Fantastics, will join us. And then at 11:45, wrapping up the show from the Fiesta Bowl, Rob Moseley from GoDucks.com, the editor of that fine website. So in the meantime, we're going to wait for George to join us. I guess he hopefully has power this morning. They had a big ice storm out there in Indiana, but we'll catch up with him hopefully today and see how he's doing. In the meantime, let's get to let's go play some interviews here. First up, yesterday morning, had a chance to talk to Mac Brown and Jimbo Fisher about the Orange Bowl tonight at 8 o'clock on ESPN. So here is Mac Brown, followed by Jimbo Fisher.
Thank you, Chris. Same to you.
Just talk about you're taking on Jimbo Fisher. What type of offense is Jimbo Fisher at A&M prior to his trip to Florida State? Is it the same offense?
Chris, I was fortunate enough to do, I think, 3 of Jimbo's games when he was at Florida State when I was in TV. So I got to study them. I got to watch them. And they're like a pro offense. They're huge in the offensive line. Their tight end is as good as anybody in the country. Guy's 6'6", he can run. He's a mismatch for everybody on your team. You cover him up to his hip. I mean, he's that much taller than everybody else with his length. They've got a 225-pound running back. They run downhill. So what they want to do is dominate the line of scrimmage, keep the football. Kellen Mond is a game manager, very much like Ian Book. He knows what to do. You sit and look at the end of the game. He hadn't turned the ball over, and he's 23 out of 28 passing, and he makes no mistakes. So Jimbo has done a great job of coaching these guys and making them understand who they are and who they want to be. I think they had the ball 40-something minutes against Tennessee, and Tennessee had 37 offensive plays. So you look up and the game's over and you haven't touched the ball. So you have to make sure that you make something out of every possession, because they're just they're going to be a physically dominating, time of possession dominating team that takes care of the ball.
And I want to ask you another question. With the weather coming tomorrow, it's going to be like the humidity always out in Miami is factored this time of year. How do you guys get yourself ready for the humidity? Because I know you were just down there for the Miami game, but this time of year, people from the north coming down to the south, not used to the heat and humidity.
Yeah, Chris, I wouldn't call us the north. We've had a little warm weather the last couple of days, but we're more north of here for sure. But our strength and conditioning staff and our nutrition staff, training staff, going into the pandemic age has done a tremendous job of making sure that we're hydrated, making sure that we're in great shape, and making sure that we're healthy. One of the real concerns this summer that we haven't had to deal with were soft tissue injuries, a lot of hamstring pulls and pull groins and those things, because you didn't have spring practice. You didn't have an off-season program. You didn't have your summer work like you normally would. And our guys studied it really well, and they've done a tremendous job of making it work. So I think we'll be okay. Biggest problem is trying to get off the field, because A&M just stays on the field and keeps the ball. And they're the best in the country at third down percentages, at making third downs. And it's because they're 3rd and 2, they're 3rd and 1, they're 3rd and 3, because they do so well on 1st and 2nd down. And they're doing what you need to do to win football games. And that's what makes it so tough to beat them.
That's true. Well, thank you so much, and have a good luck tomorrow.
All right, that was Matt Brown from North Carolina. So let's bring in our good friend from the Hoosiers Huddle, who is there in Florida, down there at the Outback Bowl. So Sammy Jacobs, we had him on the beginning of the Big Ten season. So Sammy, thanks for joining us. Just talk about this whole year. You guys one loss and controversial. You should have gone to to me, I think you should have gone to the Big Ten championship game. Not Ohio State, but anyway, that's a different story. But how's everything down there in Tampa?
Oh, it's nice. Indianapolis had a ice storm. It's expecting snow today, so it's nice to be down here in warm, humid Florida. But it's been a heck of a season. We talked about the Penn State game, and that win's kind of had IU take off. They went 6-1 in the regular season, and their lone loss was a 7-point loss at Ohio State. And IU had the ball with about 4 minutes to go, and a chance to tie the game. And as you saw last night, Ohio State beat the brakes off of people. So it's been a really, really good year for IU football.
Yeah. What did you take on last night with the Sugar Bowl, with Clemson going down, and now it's going to be Ohio State with 7 wins against a Alabama squad that has 12 wins?
Well, there's no doubt that Ohio State is talented. That was never in question. That they beat Indiana head to head. They did have the rules changed for them to make it to the Big Ten title game, but Indiana also lost that head to head matchup. So I could see both sides. Yeah, Ohio State didn't play the 6 games to qualify. They changed the rule. And they wanted to get Ohio State to the college football playoff. Where Indiana fans have their gripe is, all right, if Ohio State's so good and you're counting Indiana as a good win, then why is IU behind Iowa State, Georgia, Oklahoma, Florida, some of those other teams with multiple losses? Indiana has arguably the best loss in the country on the road at Ohio State. So, Indiana fans feel a little bit slighted that they didn't go to the Fiesta Bowl, but the Outback Bowl is a great game. It's in a state where Indiana recruits very well. They have 10 players from the Tampa area. I think they have 20 some odd players from Florida in general. So it's a great opportunity. And Indiana's got to win today, or all this, whining from the fan base is going to look really, really bad.
Right, exactly. I want to ask you about the jerseys. You guys took the Big Ten thing off the jersey. Why did you guys do that? Because you guys I know you have a beef with the Big Ten, but Big Ten is Big Ten. If Indiana leaves, where's the Big Ten going to be without Indiana?
I don't think the Big Ten misses a beat if Indiana leaves the Big Ten, to be honest.
Really?
No, I mean, look, maybe if it was 25 years ago in basketball left, but Indiana basketball isn't what it is. And, Indiana football is what Indiana football is. They're not bringing, a national audience and things like that, but it's covering up the logos, whether it's intentional or not intentional. It's a statement, but you also have to go out and win. And it means it looks really dumb if you don't win. I do like the bumper on the helmet, changing it to LEO from the Big Ten. I think that's just a smart branding. You're on national television, you're in a bowl game. LEO has been, the lifeblood of Tom Allen's program and the brand that the mantra that he lives by and things like that. So we'll see. Look, Indiana's not leaving the Big Ten, and if they wanted to make a statement, if you don't cash that check at the end of the year, but we all know they're going to do that. So,
Right.
it's all semantics, and you hopefully go behind closed doors and tell the people who you think slighted you your feelings. The move is really petty. I mean, the fan base likes it, but it's pretty petty. But the former AD Fred Glass came out and said, "Look, the good old boys of the Big Ten don't want Indiana football to be good," and he's a guy who's been in the room, and there's no reason for him to. He has no dog in the fight anymore.
Right.
So why would he lie about that? And it's true. I mean, everybody has conspiracy theories about the Big Ten referees and things like that, but some of them were so obvious. It's like you can't deny it that some of these teams in the Big Ten were getting hosed by either officials or people above them and things like that. And teams like Iowa and Wisconsin and Northwestern, they do come into Indiana and recruit. And Indiana, if Indiana becomes rock solid at football, they're not going to get those guys. So it's not good for their business. So it makes sense why they wouldn't want Indiana to be good.
Right.
But at the same time, the conference perception was that the Big Ten was down, and you're pumping up Ohio State, and it would be nice to get a second team in the New Year's Six in the Fiesta Bowl to go face Oregon. The Big Ten, it just bungled 2020, and a lot of it still isn't even 2020. It's going back to making a 9-game conference schedule, which it's a mistake. It's another chance for the conference to go 7-7 instead of doing what the SEC does and play 8 games. And that extra non-conference week, they go 12-2 or 11-3 or something like that, and it pumps up their record. So it's been a long time coming that the Big Ten has kind of put their thumb on Indiana football, and it's hitting its boiling point in 2020.
Right. You guys taking on Ole Miss today. Does Ole Miss have a losing record? Because it seems like everybody has a losing record in these bowl games. We're like Mississippi State was 3-7 and you win a bowl game. I'm like, was that the last time a bowl game with a team under 500 win a bowl game? I never seen that until like the other day. I'm like, were you going to make shirts for that? Hey, we won a bowl game. We're 4-7. Yeah.
Well, all the win requirements went out the window with the COVID in 2020, and bowl games wanted to happen, and they're good for the local economies and things like that, and TV revenue, and giving ESPN product to put on TV. But yeah, Ole Miss is 4-5. But they have the third best offense in the SEC. They're scoring 40 points a game. Now they're giving up 40 points a game, which is why they're 4-5. But you can't get caught up in that if you're an IU fan or a fan of a team in that way. Look, Mississippi State beat a top 25 team. You put all that in the big picture of things matters. Indiana hasn't won a bowl since 1991, and they're not going to apologize if they win today. It's a streak that, they've busted a lot of streaks this year. A 24-game losing streak to Michigan. They were 1-22 against Penn State. They had lost 10 in a row to Wisconsin. They hadn't beaten Michigan State up there since 2001. It's and then you see all these graphics on TV that, the last time, it's like the Knicks were good, like the last time Indiana beat any of these teams or something like that, something ridiculous. And it gets tiring as that's always the story. So it's just another list to get off of.
Right, exactly. I like an example, like last night, let's use the Sugar Bowl real quick. They put on ESPN. Dabo is 0-3 in the state of Louisiana for college football playoff, but he's 6-1 overall in other areas. I'm like, I don't care if he's 0-3. It's just a game in Louisiana. It's a game, folks. If it's in Louisiana, Texas, or your backyard, it's still a game. Who cares where it is?
Yeah, and you can make stats say anything. I think there was an old baseball movie. It might have been Little Big League, where the radio announcer, this guy's hitting 450 on Tuesday nights when, there's a sellout or something like that and the lights are on.
Dollar hot dog night, Dollar hot dog. He's batting 400 on dollar hot dog night. Like, who cares? Yeah, but anyway.
Yep.
Well, it's going to be a fun game today. You guys are 12:30 on. Is it on ABC?
Yeah, it's 12:30 on ABC. It should be a fun game. It's strength against strength. Indiana's defense is their strength. Ole Miss's offense is clearly their strength. So it should be an entertaining game.
Yeah, and Lane Kiffin, his father used to be a coach there in Tampa Bay, so he feels like he has a home field advantage there with his. I guess he still has family there in Tampa. Yeah, I don't know. I was reading, publications this week. I was like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, apparently Monty, who was the defensive coordinator for all those good Bucs defenses, was supposed to go in the Ring of Honor here this year, but because of COVID, I think they postponed it a little bit. So he has a lot of history here, and with the Bucs and things like that. So it's a homecoming for Tom Allen too. He got his high school coaching career started down here at Temple Heights. He coached at USF, which is in Tampa, and so it's. And he coached at Ole Miss. There's a lot of, 6 degrees of separation here between IU and Ole Miss.
Exactly. Real quick, what do you guys? I know the Outback has this like, if one team wins, you get a special appetizer. Are you the bloomin' onion or the coconut shrimp?
I think, unfortunately, we're the coconut shrimp.
Really?
Really, I think the Big Ten is always the coconut shrimp. I am not a seafood guy. Yeah, I grew up on the East Coast. But I got real sick as a kid eating fish, and it's just scared me off since then. But yeah, I think we're team coconut shrimp, which is disappointing because I would love the bloomin' onion.
Me too. I love that stuff. I could eat. I know it's like 60,000 calories, but it's still good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, have a great day on the broadcast. Tell Don I said hi and wish him a happy New Year from us here at Herbie FM Radio. We'll get him on hopefully during basketball season. And I know you cover basketball as well, so hopefully we'll see you maybe doing a Maryland game soon.
Yeah, I don't actually cover basketball. I just cover football. So, but thanks anyway. Thanks for having me on. Enjoy game another day of college football.
Thanks, buddy. Have a great day. Enjoy.
All right. Thanks. You too.
See you. That's Sammy Jacobs, who covers he does the sound for Indiana football for Don Fisher, who we had him on a couple times on the radio side. So it's 10:33 a.m. here on the second day of January and 2021. Hope you guys survived yesterday and if you enjoyed your first day of 2021, everybody's back to, hopefully this year is going to be a better year. We have no situations going on here in 2021. Let's get back to the program here. We're still waiting for our good friend George, who he should be joining us. I don't know what he's doing, but I guess he had an ice storm out there in Indiana yesterday, so we're still trying to figure out if he has power or not. In the meantime, let's get back to our coverage of the Orange Bowl. Here is the interview I had yesterday with former Florida State head coach, now head coach at Texas A&M for the last 3 years. Our good friend Jimbo Fisher, who we enjoyed talking to at the ACC kickoff for when he was with Florida State and got to know him a little bit better. So here is my long interview with him yesterday.
To play against wherever he's been.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Chris, go ahead. You're next.
Good morning, Coach Fisher. Happy New Year.
You too, buddy.
I was looking over your quarterback last night, and I know you were a quarterback guru throughout your career in coaching from LSU and Florida State. What does Mod bring to your team? Because he seems like he's right on the same track of Winston, not a Heisman track, but good quarterbacks that you did over the years.
Well, this guy is, when you build, you're the guy who kind of helps change an organization and get to this level, and you've came through some tough times, you come all the way up. First of all, you commend their competitive nature and their ability to help the team have an identity. And that takes a strong will. It takes a strong work ethic. And it means you're very respected by your teammates, that they will follow you like that. Because you go through those tough times and they say, this guy keeps going, he keeps getting better and better. And he sets an example for the rest of them with the standard of how you got to work, how you got to practice, how you got to prepare. And he's done all of those things. And then you talk about him as a player. I mean, such a dual threat guy. He can beat you. I always say that he can beat you with his mind. His protection calls, his run checks, getting us in and out of the right plays, reads, and with the ball, beat you with his arm, throwing the ball excellently, 19-3, 63.5% completion percentage, and he can beat you with his legs. So, I mean, he can, win the game in a lot of different ways, knows when to use them all, knows how to do it. But more importantly, I love his toughness, his competitiveness, and his overall just command of what we do as an organization.
Yeah, and if I could follow up on a question about you've been down to South Florida a lot because you have a lot of big rivalry games against Miami and Florida State. Why is it so great for you to go down to the Rock? Because that stadium is such a it's been remodeled and it's now looks like it's a brand new ballpark and it's just it's home pretty much because it's the favorite place for you to be there.
Well, we had some great memories here. We had some great competitions here. But, first of all, it's a great accomplishment because this is the Orange Bowl. And to get to an Orange Bowl, Texas A&M shows we're heading and doing things in a great way. And it's a great reward for our players to be able to come play in such a prestigious historical game to college football. Like, say, there's over 20 national championships here. So they're being included in that history and greatness of the Orange Bowl. And that's first and foremost. Secondly, we continue to keep recruiting.
All right, folks, it's Jim Fisher talking about how he loves Miami. I didn't know he was 6-0 at the Rock, or they called it the Pro Player Stadium, or Black Bus Ballpark, whatever we used to call it. So that's what's going on. It's 10:37 a.m. here on a Saturday morning, January 2nd, 2021. So let's also get back to some videos here. We're going to call Olin in a minute. Yeah, I know he's out and around. Let's talk. We speak of the quarterback. I had a chance to talk to the quarterback of the Aggies of Texas A&M, Amon, who talked to the media earlier this week. So here's my Q&A with him.
Thing, probably schematically, is Arkansas, and Arkansas, who we played, and kind of oppose some kind of fits just with the front that they were playing, but. I think that, playing in the SEC and kind of playing against some of the top talent and so many different schemes, I think we're kind of, we can go against a four-down team, three-down team, and just, pretty much trust our rules that Coach Fisher has instilled in us.
Thank you.
That's all the questions we have for you, Kellen. Thank you. And
all right, Kellen Amon, the quarterback for Texas A&M. The Orange Bowl is tonight at 8 o'clock. Let's give you the schedule here. Did I put it on here? I thought I did. Anyway, yeah, 8 o'clock tonight on ESPN. Let's get back to let's preview some of the today at 4 o'clock on before the Orange Bowl. You have the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl between Ohio State and Oregon today at 4. I don't know who has what kind of I think Iowa State is favored in that game because I think it's just like Oregon, they played and like Ohio State, they only played 5 or 6 games because of the COVID this past year. Also today at 12:30 or 12 noon or one around there. The Gator Bowl will be on ESPN. Is NC State and Kentucky, and we had the privilege to go to the folks at Kentucky, who gave us an opportunity to listen in to Coach Stoops talk about NC State and Coach Duran. So here it is.
And Coach Mark Stoops becomes the first coach in UK history to not only take his team to 5 bowl games, but also 5 bowl games in a row. So congratulations to Coach Stoops for those landmarks. And at this point, we will turn it over to Coach for an opening statement, and then we will have questions. Please use the raised hand feature in order to be called upon. Coach Stoops.
Sure. Thanks, Tony. Sorry to keep you all waiting a little bit. Been a little busy around here this afternoon, but we're excited and honored to accept that invitation to the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl. We had a really good experience the last time we were there, with the exception of the outcome of the game. We hope to play better this go around. We've played good the past 2 bowl games, so hopefully we can keep that streak going. But looking forward to playing a really good NC State team. I know Dave Dorn very well for a long time, and he does a very good job and has his team playing really well down the stretch. I believe they won their last 4 and they're 8-3, so very good football team, and excited about the opportunity and getting back to Florida for another bowl game. Hopefully we'll have some good weather, and I'm sure our players will be excited about that.
All right, first question.
Okay, folks. We are going to call Owen here. See if he ready to go. Okay, so he's getting ready for breakfast. Okay. 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 So let's give Olin a call here. Let me bring down the banner here. And we'll bring up his photograph. So here he is. Hey, Owen, how you doing? Doing good. Hold on a second. Let me get my speaker up, and I'm having my phone likes to be not special in the morning. You know, it's like, hello, wake up. You know. Yeah. So there we go. Hopefully, get you on speaker. Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you fine.
All right, cool. Thank you for doing this morning. I know you're out and about there in South Florida. And we just got done with our interviews we did with Jimbo Fisher yesterday during the teleconference call. So is this a must-win game for Texas A&M to get back into what they were years ago? Like, you know, like everybody knows that, you know, they're going to be a reckoning with in the SEC.
I don't know if it's a must-win. I think that when you have a team that's as young as A&M is, that you still the future's still going to look really good. But it's certainly a win that you want, and you want bad to finish off one of the better seasons you've had in a long, long time. In fact, after what happened in the semifinal games of the playoff, if A&M was to beat North Carolina, and if they're capable of it, if they're able to win emphatically, then A&M would have a chance to finish 3rd or 4th, and that would be the highest ranked final ranking A&M has had since their 1939 national championship.
Wow.
So, so there's some carrots out there. So is it an important win? Absolutely. But is it a must win? I think regardless of the outcome, the program is going to continue on an upward trajectory.
Yeah. Let's talk about last night's games. You know, in the national, the college football playoff, you had Alabama, who you saw earlier in the year, and they just ran you out of Tuscaloosa, because I was watching that game on CBS, and then you had Clemson losing to Ohio State. So I guess this is finally a different national championship game.
Yeah, I guess it's different, even though Ohio State and Alabama both been there before. They played in the semifinals before, so to me it's surprising. I was surprised that Ohio State beat Clemson, much less in the fashion in which they did so. Absolutely not surprised. Alabama won. That they've been dominant in every game they played this year, and maybe Ohio State will make it a more competitive game than anybody else has.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to somebody yesterday on our program yesterday morning that Alabama is almost like an NFL team. Just put it down there in Tuscaloosa and get rid of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and then you got a new NFL team.
Well, they almost are, because it seems like most of their players end up in the NFL eventually. They just have so much talent, so much amazing talent, especially on offense. Defensively, they're vulnerable. Even though when I say vulnerable, no one other than Ole Miss in that one game when I think Ole Miss caught them kind of flat-footed, but nobody typically runs up the score on them. But you can move the ball on them if you take care of your own business and don't make mistakes. That's what A&M did. They had some drop passes, they missed field goals. They had some self-inflicted problems that led to that blowout. That Alabama team, when you go in to play them, you have to understand that you're probably going to have to score in the 30s just to have a chance to be competitive in the fourth quarter.
Exactly. Let's talk about tonight. You guys have brand new uniforms. Why are you going to the all Texas colors? Yeah, I thought. I'm like, I looked at it the other day, going, "What? Is that a color? Somebody put the wrong color on the computer? What is that?"
You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. That's the first I've heard of it. Maybe I've been so engrossed in just game coverage that I missed that.
Yeah.
If they're not going to be wearing maroon and white, I have to admit that's news to me.
Yeah, I think I saw. Yeah, I think it was on one of the publications online I was reading over the week, and I was like, "What?" I was like, "This could be a typo. Come on, it can't be."
So they're going to be red, white, and blue.
No, it's not red, white, and blue. It's Texas. Like the Longhorns
the
color.
Orange. Yeah, I don't think that's real.
Okay.
I think that was a spoof. The orange thing. Yeah, I think that was somebody just trying to get the Aggies goat, as they say.
It got me. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, I don't think Jimbo is going to change the colors over to the eyes of Texas. That's not.
Yeah.
You guys are rivals. I know you haven't played in 10 years, pretty much.
Yeah, not since they haven't played since 2011. Yeah, you have to be in College Station to understand just how much they loathe the color orange. And in fact, they even at one time there was a faction of the fans trying to get the athletic department to not to use Gatorade because they had an orange in the logo, right? They couldn't change it to maroon. So if you understood that part of it, then you would know, the facetiousness of the color change. But not being here, not being as familiar with College Station and that culture, I can understand why they could get you.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe one day I'll make a trip to College Station and just go around and see what this whole Texas A&M experience is about. Why, you got the 12th man, you got people who, are just rabid, just like it's almost like Florida State and Miami fans. They love their team.
Yeah, it's one of the great game day atmospheres in the country. I really have been just about everywhere. Worked as a national writer before I went to Texas.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, big game setting. I don't know that there's a better place to watch a game. Between the choreographed yells, the traditions of standing and kissing your date, and the yell practice the night before. The game is obviously always the focal point, but there's so much other things going on. It just makes for a really unique game day experience.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Jimbo Fisher because he came from Florida State. Like the first day he was there, did he go like, "What is this?" Like he's not used to that because in Florida State they didn't have anything before game day. They just walked to the stadium with like that. Everybody has that walk and they had the band and all that stuff. But I guess that took them back for a little bit.
Yeah, now no one throws any flaming spears into the ground here. Maybe we can adopt that, but yeah, it's just a fun atmosphere. And Aggies are as passionate about their team as anybody else. The same as the Alabama fans or the Ohio State fans or Clemson fans. A&M fans are just as rabid, and like I said, because of that, it does make for a great, unique game day atmosphere.
Yeah. Well, what's the keys for Texas A&M to beat a very good North Carolina squad with Sam Howell, who Jimbo Fisher was looking at before he left to go to you guys?
Yeah, I think first of all, A&M has to mount a consistent pass rush. I know the North Carolina pass protection at times has been suspect. It's been so bad. See, they're even got the sirens on talking about it. I don't know if you could hear that, but yeah, I think you want to be able to disrupt Sam Howell as much as possible. I know North Carolina really likes to run the football. A&M is really good against the run. I think they're number 2 in the nation in run defense. And of course, and everybody who's paying attention knows that North Carolina's top 2 running backs have opted out for this game, as well as their top receiver. So, you feel like if you have a chance to make North Carolina one-dimensional, well, Sam Howell can still be good in that situation. So I think you really want to put pressure on him and see if you can't move him off this point and harass him and maybe get him closer if possible.
That's cool. Well, Owen, thank you so much. Enjoy South Florida today, and hopefully the weather's so nice. And I know the humidity is probably better than wherever you got. You're in Texas. What's the weather in Texas? I know it was like 40 degrees yesterday in Dallas.
Yeah, and we're pretty much south of Dallas, but yeah, Texas weather each day can be completely different, but typically it's not a whole lot different. We're used to dealing with humidity, so we'll be good.
That's cool. Well, enjoy, and we'll talk to you down the road.
All right, thank you so much for having me on.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
All right,
bye.
Bye.
All right, folks, that's Owen Buchanan from TexasAggies.com. So Texas A&M taking on the folks of North Carolina tonight here at the Orange Bowl on 8 o'clock on ESPN. So it's 10:51, or now 10:52. Let's go take a look at our schedule coming up here. If you just logged in, you missed Sandy Jacobs from Hoosier Huddle. You missed him. Yeah, he joined us from the Outback Bowl. So they are the coconut shrimp. Everybody, coconut shrimp is the Indiana Hoosiers today. I wish it was the blooming onion. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, coming up, at 11 o'clock, hopefully, David Glenn from award-winning sports broadcaster from North Carolina will be up at 11. 11:30, Jared Stansbury from the managing editor of Cyclones Fantastic. Hopefully will be joining us from the Fiesta Bowl as well. And then we'll go at 11:45 to Rob Moseley, who does the GoDucks.com, the editor. And then we'll go and we'll wrap it up here, and we'll get you ready for bowl games. So in the meantime, let's get back to our. We did some editing yesterday of some games that got. Let's go. The first game of the afternoon was the Peach Bowl, and it was it went down to the final kick, and Georgia won by a score of 24-21. So here's Kirby Smart talking about how the Peach Bowl has changed since the day he played in it to now. So, and how great the hospitality is. So here he is.
I'd like to start by saying the Cincinnati team is absolutely incredible effort, toughness, the way they played us defensively. I got a lot of respect for Luke Fickell and his team. The quarterback they got is a talented man, and for people to try to take shots at their conference or their level of play, they got a really, really good quality football team and a lot of seniors on that team. I'd also like to thank Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, Gary Stokes and his staff. I'm telling you guys, where they've taken this bowl, where it started when bad team I was on played in it, to now New Year's Six, and being part of a special bowl package, the city of Atlanta, home of college football. They got the best thing going, and they do an unbelievable job. Chick-fil-A is one of the best companies in the world. I always say, if I can run my organization like Chick-fil-A, I can be successful the same way with the Peach Bowl. So we thank them for that. And then these seniors, look, they tied the winningest record of any senior class come through, and they really got slighted. So we're going to remove the asterisk and erase it, because with the Vanderbilt game, they would have been able to get that done, and certainly want to respect the job they did. And I just appreciate the guys never quitting and continuing to fight.
All right, that was Kirby Smart talking about the win yesterday over Cincinnati and thanking his senior players, players who are seniors, part of the best class of anything there at Georgia. Next up, we'll talk Citrus. The Citrus Bowl, Northwestern plowed over Auburn 35-19, just literally plowed them over. So here is Coach Fitzgerald, who actually played in the Citrus Bowl, I think 20 years ago, when he was a player, 1995, when he took on, and when he was a player taking on Peyton Manning as Tennessee took on Northwestern. So it seems pretty funny that he came back there, as a coach. So here it is.
DP, what was the game like for you, and how are you feeling after that big win?
Well, let me start with a few things here. I'm going to read them, okay? First and foremost, I want to thank everybody here at the Verbo Citrus Bowl, especially Steve Hogan and Susan Fortini and their amazing staff, our great hosts, Pat and Karen Connors, the unbelievable job by the Orlando Police Department. The police escort here is second to none in any bowl game, and we just appreciate Lieutenant and his great motorcade team that are just absolutely incredible. Everybody over at the Hyatt Regency, our great bus drivers that got us everywhere we needed to go while we were here. The guys had a blast at Top Golf, and everybody over at Top Golf, thanks so much. And then for our seniors, undefeated in bowl games, going 4-0 during their career, most bowl wins in a class for a class in our program history, 2 Big Ten West championships, and obviously undefeated against our rivals. And then for Hank, think about this now. You want to talk about the GOAT, 580 career games coach, most by any head coach or assistant coach in college football history, 400 career wins, 288 of those as a defensive coordinator, 11 conference championships, 1 national championship, 24 ranked teams, played in 33 bowl games, 39 winning seasons, 28 as a defensive coordinator. He's coached 15 first-team All-Americans, 70-plus NFL players, and 50-plus all-conference players. And Tyler broke a single-season win record, 5 out of 6 schools as a DC that he coached in every New Year's 6 bowl game. So there's a lot to be thankful for. Our seniors, everybody here at the Verbo Citrus Bowl, and then obviously Hank and our amazing staff, but especially to our players. It's been such a hard year. Their sacrifice and dedication. I just walked by their parents and just thank them. So really proud of this group, and Happy New Year to everybody. Thanks. I'll answer any and all questions.
All right, Coach, thank you. We'll take our first question from Shannon Ryan. Shannon, you can go ahead when you're ready and unmute.
All right. That was Coach Pat Fitzgerald saying congratulations on the win yesterday against Auburn. So that was yesterday's bowl games, except for one. We'll cover this on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock on our 8 o'clock program on Wednesday night, the national playoffs. Ohio State beat Clemson in the Sugar Bowl 49-28, and Clemson and the Rose Bowl, Alabama beat Notre Dame, and we'll talk about that another time. So that's on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock here on from 8 to 9 here on Herbie Time Sports Radio on StreamYard.com. So hopefully you folks can make us part of your Wednesday nights here in 2021. And Uski, Ewan, myself, and George will join us, during 2021. George Bashera will join us to talk Notre Dame hockey, Notre Dame women's basketball, and all that stuff. So we're getting close to the top of the hour here, and folks, I hope you're enjoying your Saturday morning. If you're having leftovers from yesterday's breakfast because it was New Year's Day morning, hopefully you are enjoying your breakfast wherever you are. So we're going to wait for Dave Glenn, who is the award-winning sports broadcaster from North Carolina, to join us shortly. So like yesterday, we'll get back to we'll play some hits here. All right, so here are some hits coming up. Let's see. Let's do a country song.
was painted red, the stripe was white, 18 feet, and the bow of the stern light. Second hand.
All right, we'll work on that. We got Dave line with us. Hi, Dave. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to y'all.
How's everything there in North Carolina? Pretty good?
Yeah, really good. Decent day here, given where I grew up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It's usually a lot nicer here than it is there.
Yeah, it's actually pretty nice out here in Maryland. It's 50 degrees. It's like low 40s this morning, but it's supposed to be in the 50s today. So
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, but it's supposed to get a little colder up and down, throughout next week. So let's talk about big day for the state of North Carolina. Got 2 bowl games going on. NC State earlier, starting off around noon, and then the nightcap with North Carolina taking on Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M.
Yeah, I think one thing these games have in common from the perspective of these two, big public university programs here in North Carolina is they're both trying to build their brand. And the reality is, if NC State beats Kentucky today, they finish 9-3, and they probably have their best postseason ranking since, believe it or not, like 2002, when Chuck Amato was their head coach and Phillip Rivers, yes, that guy, was the quarterback. So, I mean, that's a Dave Doran talking point if he can get the win today. And similarly, believe it or not, if Carolina can beat Texas A&M tonight, you might be able to call it the biggest bowl win in school history, because the Heels have not played in, the Cotton or the Sugar since the 1940s. Wow. And they have not played in the Orange until tonight. So beating a top 5 Texas A&M team would kind of propel this, second Mac Brown tenure in Chapel Hill into the offseason with a 9-3 record, an Orange Bowl win, and kind of make them look like, other than Clemson, one of the better programs in the ACC. And these kinds of things, of course, never heard on the recruiting trail, whether you're the Wolfpack or the Tar Heels.
Right. Well, somebody needs to win in the ACC, because right now we're 0 whatever in these bowl games. If you want to count Notre Dame as our friend for the year,
Really?
It's like somebody got to win. And right now, Florida State has I saw somebody the other day. Florida State has the winning streak better than Florida and Miami. So it's like, I'm like, they're not even playing. They're sitting in the Tallahassee Crab Bowl.
It's a weird time in the ACC as a whole, because number one, of course, a lot of schools opted out of bowls. So you're not going to have the 9 or 10 or 11 bowl participants the way you do have in some years. And as you said, I mean, it's 0-4 right now, Chris. And they weren't very pretty, if you noticed, the 0-4. I guess Miami did make it close against Oklahoma State, but Notre Dame got annihilated, predictably so. Clemson got annihilated, less predictably. Those were the highlighters. But, yeah, I mean, this could be an 0-6 bowl season for the Atlantic Coast Conference, depending on what happens today. And I honestly – I've covered this league for 30-plus years. I don't think there's another year where they laid a goose egg as a conference in the postseason. I'd have to double-check that, but I'm pretty sure that would be a first in a long time.
Hey, Dave, about that, we had our internet just went down, so I'm using the old phone.
No problem.
Something. I have this light in my office, and it started like blinking at me, and I'm like, please don't do that to me.
I know that feeling. We had the power go out at about 5 minutes to midnight on New Year's Eve. That was the weirdest feeling. You're watching the ball go down. The Christmas trees all lit up. It was really weird.
Yeah. Wow. That is crazy. Well, we were talking about what were we talking about? Yeah, we're talking about this year's bowl games for the ACC. You had people opting out, like Virginia Tech, and normally they go to a bowl game every year, and they decided to opt out because of COVID. And you had, Wake Forest. They played against Wisconsin, and they were playing really well in the beginning of the first half, and then all of a sudden Wisconsin just steamrolled them in the second half. They turned the ball over 4 times. This year's bowl season is kind of weird with different bowl games gone, and they're hopefully come back.
Yeah, it's been weird. Obviously Boston College had a nice season under its rookie head coach, Jeff Hafley, but they opted out of a bowl. Virginia Tech struggled, but opted out of a bowl. The Hokies are usually there. UVA was a 500 team, opted out of a bowl. So we might have, for the first time in a long, long time, there's at least the possibility, as you and I speak right now, of the ACC as a league laying the goose egg in the postseason, because they're 0-4 right now. NC State is really mad about being an underdog in the eyes of Las Vegas to Kentucky today. They're a 2 or 3 point dog most places, and they're the 8-3 team facing a 4-6 Kentucky team. And of course, Carolina is the underdog to Texas A&M tonight. So it could be an 0-6 postseason for the ACC. And again, I can't remember the last time that happened. I don't think it's happened in my 30+ years covering this league.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating. Like I was talking to Mac Brown yesterday, and Mac Brown followed Jimbo Fisher for 3 years when he was a broadcaster.
Yeah,
he had 3 games with him on TV and learned about what Jimbo Fisher was doing. And I asked him yesterday, is this Texas A&M offense the same that you saw in Tallahassee? And he goes, well, it's a pro style. He said it's a pro style offense, but it's still what Jimbo Fisher likes to do, like that, things rolling and fire down the field.
Yeah, one fun thing about that with Mac Brown and Jimbo Fisher in mind, we don't get many bowl games where both teams are coached by somebody who has won a national championship. And of course, in this case, Jimbo Fisher and Mac Brown are both national championship coaches. Now, neither did it at the school where they are right now.
Right.
Jimbo did it at FSU, and Mac did it at Texas, of course. But that's part of the fun factor to this matchup. I mentioned earlier, the Tar Heels have never played in a bigger bowl game in the history of their program. It's a shame that Carolina has, I'd say, maybe 4 of their 5 best players have opted out of this game against the Aggies. And that takes what was already an underdog Carolina team against the number 5 team in the nation, Texas A&M. And I think it makes them a bigger underdog. They still have their quarterback, Sam Howell, who is a special talent. But he loses both of his running backs, his number 1 wide receiver, and on the other side of the ball, Chaz Surratt's probably the Tar Heels' best defensive player. So it's going to be a slightly watered-down version of the Tar Heels going against the Aggies tonight.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, I feel like they're still running right now. The North Carolina running against Miami. My dad called me up that next day. He goes, "How many yards did North Carolina have?" I was like, "Well, they had 500 yards rushing, total 770 yards against Miami." And he goes, "And they still have a job?" I was like, "My dad's like that is crazy." I was like, "You don't see that in the NFL." And then we just saw it last night. The Buckeyes put up 637 on Clemson, and that's the 3rd worst in Clemson history, behind 2 Florida State games back in 2000 and 2012.
Well, what you just brought up in terms of the Tar Heels win at Miami reminds me of 2 things. One, oddly enough, this game against Texas A&M is in the same place.
Right.
Hard Rock Stadium, South Florida. So the Heels certainly have a lot of mojo and positive vibes from what just happened there that you made reference to. What is scary is that of that 778 yards of total offense, only 58 of those yards were performed by players who will be playing against Texas A&M tonight, because it was Michael Carter and Javonte Williams, the running backs, and De'Ami Brown, the wideout, who were responsible, along with obviously Sam Howell, who is playing tonight. They were responsible for the 720 out of the 778. So running back's going to be a major question mark for Carolina tonight, behind a big, strong offensive line. But Sam Howell, he does have other really good receivers, but nobody on that roster at running back has run for more than a handful of yards in their entire careers, as Michael Carter and Javonte Williams, decided to opt out and prepare for the NFL draft.
Yeah. I got to ask you, you've been a broadcaster there in the state of North Carolina. You got a chance to interview everybody in the ACC. Have you ever had a confrontation with a coach on a call or in a media setting, and you're trying not to be confrontational, but how did you pull it off?
Yeah, it's happened a handful of times. I mean, fortunately, not often, but if you're at this long enough, it's going to happen. I remember once in football, UNC's coach was Butch Davis, and we had a weird kind of off-the-air exchange. Prior to him, he was scheduled to join me live. So I'm hosting this statewide live sports radio program, and he's on the phone during a commercial break telling me what questions he's not going to answer if I ask them online. So it wasn't like a face-to-face stare down. It was a little weird because we were on the phone.
Right. But
I said, Coach, I've been at this a long time. And you probably remember the agent scandal that the Tar Heels had at the time, and they had some ineligible players who had signed agents. And, and I just said, Coach, we can't have you on the air for 10 minutes in the middle of a scandal. Talk only about last weekend's game and this coming weekend's game and pretend there is no elephant in the room, which is this NCAA investigation hovering around your program. And the funny part of the way it ended was I said, Coach, I'm telling you, man, I appreciate you always doing my show. I cannot put you on the air under the rules that you just outlined for me. I said, if I were in your shoes, I would let me ask the question, as a good journalist must ask the question.
Right.
Just give me some generic answer. I said, just say, well, David, we're focused on Team X, and we're still breaking down film of our win over Team Y.
Right.
And I understand and respect why you have to ask that questions, but I've been told by university officials that I shouldn't comment in any way, and I'm not going to be able to comment until we have more of the facts. Right? Like, we've all been in this business long enough to know it's coach speak. There's a certain way to politely answer a question without answering the question. And I said, Coach, I've been at this as a journalist as long as you've been at this as a coach. You deserve to give me the respect that I am asking you for right now. And sure enough, I put him on the air. I asked him that question. It's almost like he used my example on live radio to answer the question. But yeah, I've had a little weird moment with Jimbo Fisher when he was at FSU. Bobby Petrino, I remember when he was at Louisville. A few on the basketball side as well. But over 30 plus years, maybe it's happened a dozen times, but you do tend to remember those because they just don't happen all that often, at least not in my career.
Yeah. Well, I had it happen to me last night. I was talking to Brian Kelly after the game against Alabama, and I didn't hear I didn't hear somebody ask my question about Smith, the wide receiver for Alabama. I think 3 touchdowns, literally tore him up. And I said to Coach, I said, talk about Smith, the wide receiver. If you had an opportunity to vote for the Heisman, would you put your vote in there for him? Because he saw him first up close and personal. Well, he was like, did you pay attention to the question before? I was like, yes, sir. And I was like, I'm sorry, but I was a little scared because I'm not used to people yelling at me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like taken back, and I was like trying not to be like, yes, sir, how you doing? Like that. And I was like, yes, sir. I didn't hear the question. Well, this morning, my buddy from out there in Indiana sent me a message saying it was all over social media that people enjoyed my question.
Yeah, it is a good question. I think it's a fair question.
I asked him.
Every once in a while, I would say 9 times out of 10, a coach respects a good question. And every once in a while, there's a weird set of circumstances. I'll never forget one time I asked Seth Greenberg, the Virginia Tech basketball coach for a while, now with ESPN, obviously.
Right.
He had just lost an ACC tournament game, and everybody knew he was on the hot seat. And my coaching friends have said, if you ask a coach in that situation to defend his resume, why he shouldn't be fired, you're actually doing him a favor. Because if he goes into, full court press mode defending his resume without it being a question. He looks like a whiner.
Right.
But if you ask him the question, well, then it's like throwing up a little ball for you to swing at, And he took it the wrong way in the heat of the moment. And he was mad about the game they just lost. And he did not like the question at all. So
wow.
that was in a press conference face-to-face setting. And I just kind of, rolled. I was a veteran reporter by that point, and just, I don't know. I've been really hard to ruffle my feathers for a long time. So I just let him have his little rant.
Right.
I also reminded him, this conversation's happening whether you like it or not. And the question I just asked you is being debated by not only your athletic director, but your fan base and the entire media sitting here. The idea that I would give you a voice in that conversation and you'd be mad at me for giving you that voice is absurd. And we're going to keep going, but that's fundamentally absurd and shows your lack of respect in this narrow case for what our jobs are like here in the media. And we got through it, and he's been a guest on my show dozens of times, but it was a weird moment that things just went sideways.
Yeah. Well, it was my moment last night, and and I just shake it off and just move on, because you got to have thick skin.
You do.
You don't have to. Don't take it personal. When I first started this thing years ago, I was like, I'm going to find him, and the next time I'm going to ask him something really bad, and I'm going to get. And now it's like, to me, I'm like, whatever. Let's throw it off. As a mulligan, and work on it.
That's a good lesson to learn. I've always joked with coaches that I know there are only a handful of things coaches, athletes, and media have in common, but the requirement of a thick skin is one of those things on the short list.
Exactly. Well, let me let you go. Thank you so much for that inside stuff, and enjoy the game tonight. Hopefully, it's going to be a good game there in South Florida, and also in there in the Gator Bowl, and hopefully it will be a good day for the ACC.
Always good to be with you. Enjoy the games.
All right. Thank you so much.
Take care.
All right. Take care. All right. We're going to go try to get back onto the program on our laptop because we had an internet hiccup. So please bear with us. We'll be right back. All right, folks, welcome back. We're back on the computer. So in the meantime, let's play some music here and waiting for our guest coming up at. Who's our guest coming up at 11:30? We have Jared Stansbury from Cyclones. So in the meantime, here is Alan Jackson.
Put on a shine, put on motor, built out of love, made for water.
No. All right, folks, it's 11:30. We're waiting for folks to get 2 more people to join us, and now we're going to wrap this puppy up here. If you want to send us a question here, we have, we still have, if you have a question or concern, you can email us right there at the bottom line there at herbertsonradio@gmail.com or text us at 443-567-0746. Let's see what's our poll question. See how that went. Let's see. Function is right now it looks like Clemson and Alabama was first, and then Clemson and North Carolina is second. I know Notre Dame is second, but that never happened. It's going to be Alabama and Ohio State in the national championship game. So that's interesting thing there. So we're waiting for Jarrett to join us. Thanks for Dave Glenn to join us from there in North Carolina to talk shop for a little bit. So we appreciate that as well. So, well, 1:30 in the morning here. We'll see who's awake. I guess we're waiting for Jarrett or somebody to join us here. Breaking news, North Carolina State is out with 4 starters today on defense for the game against Kentucky. And then, let's see what else is going on here. Speaking of next week, on Wednesday we'll have Coach from the women's basketball from Towson University, Coach Richardson will be joining us at 8:15. So hopefully you guys could enjoy that as well. She'll be live to talk what's going on with the women's basketball program with the COVID and up and down the schedules and all that stuff. So we'll get yourselves ready for that as well. So and then Ole Miss is getting some good news. Ole Miss is going to invest in the future and committed to Lane Kiffin with a new contract today. So that's pretty interesting stuff. Let's see, Tyler James. Let's see what he from Notre Dame. Who he's a writer for South Bend Tribune. Let's see here. I'm just seeing what the stories are. See who's logging in there. And it's Jarrett logging in. So, hey Jarrett, good morning.
What's going on?
How are you? How's everything there in Arizona?
It's going pretty well, man. It's a lot nicer than it is in Iowa.
Yeah, I heard you guys are having a lot of ice and all that stuff. We actually are here in Maryland. It's like 50 degrees, so
yeah,
it's not bad.
There was like 8 inches of snow on the ground when I left Des Moines.
Ooh, that's cold. That's cold. So let's talk about this Fiesta Bowl, 4:00 today. Last time we talked to you was 2 weeks ago because you were in the Big 12 championship game and you saw Oklahoma up close and personal. What did you think about them running Florida out of the Cotton Bowl?
It wasn't honestly too much of a surprise to me, man. That team has gotten a lot better throughout the entire season, and I think that's one of the best teams in the country. And I figured, especially once Florida had started having people opt out and stuff like that, that the Sooners would have a good chance to really kind of put it on them. So I thought that it wasn't too much of a surprise.
Yeah. What do you think about opting out? Do you think they should wait until the end of the season and say we're going to the NFL? And I think they should do it is if you opt out, I think you should have your last game, just play 2 series and say thanks everybody, wave to everybody, and go your merry way.
I can't blame anybody for making a decision. Obviously, guys got to protect their futures and stuff like that. And obviously, we've seen before where people can get hurt in those games and how big of an impact it can have on your pro prospects. So I don't think it's, I'm not against it, but I can understand why it's obviously frustrating to some people as well.
Yeah. Let's talk about your team, Iowa State against Oregon. Oregon used to be this powerhouse in the Pac-12, and they still have a pretty good, decent offense. That quarterback went to the Chargers. Now they have a new quarterback. They only played 5 games this year. So what did you see in those 5 or 6 games?
Yeah, I mean, I think they've just been really inconsistent. It's hard to really know what they are at this point, just because of the offense played really well early in the season. The defense didn't play very well, and then it's kind of flipped as the year went along. Where as of late, the Oregon offense has not played very well. They haven't really been able to run the ball too well. Tyler Shuck, their quarterback, has really struggled, but the defense has been lights out. I mean, I think in these last two games against Cal and USC, they're only averaging about 1.7 yards a carry against them. The defense has just been playing really well, and they've got a lot of guys that are really talented on that side of the ball. It's not the Oregon that I think everybody's kind of used to. When you think of the Ducks, you think of Chip Kelly and the playing fast and really trying to get up and down the field. But they really want to try and be the more physical team. They want to play power football now. And really dominate you in the trenches. So I think it's an interesting matchup just because Iowa State and Oregon kind of play a pretty similar style from what, it kind of a contrast to what the Ducks used to be.
Yeah. So how far are you from the stadium? Are you right outside the stadium there? Or are you, I know it's in Glendale. I know you flew into Phoenix, and I've been to Phoenix once, and it's a nice airport. Don't get me wrong, very nice and Southwest feel. But how far is Glendale from Phoenix Airport?
Yeah, I'm actually staying in Scottsdale. I'm about 25. I think I'm about 25 minutes from State Farm Stadium. So I'm gonna head there here, shortly after I get done with you guys.
Yeah, I've been to Scottsdale too. We had a timeshare out there, and it was pretty cool. Except for waking up in the middle, wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and it's like 95 degrees at 7 a.m. Like, we're not used to that in Maryland. But like I say, it's almost 100 here. I'm like, what? Yeah.
Yeah. It's like 45 degrees here right now. So, but it's a nice 45. It's really sunny. Not a cloud in the sky. So hard to complain too much.
Yeah. Is this going to be the big win for Iowa State to put Iowa State on the map? Because I know Coach Campbell's been working very hard since he came from Toledo to build this program up.
Yeah, I mean, I think it obviously would be one that would, be a big validator for what Iowa State and what Matt Campbell have been doing. Obviously to be able to get a win in a New Year's Six game, that's not that many programs here in recent history can, boast those kinds of things. So, something that I think would really solidify Iowa State's position, as one of the top contenders in the Big 12, and, got to come out and play their game. And if they do, I think it would really shut up some of the haters too that have been, thinking that Iowa State maybe didn't belong in this position.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you see when did you get there? Did you get there yesterday or a couple of days ago?
Yeah, I got here last night, so I've been here about 14 hours or so.
Okay, so you haven't had a chance to see. Was that plane packed of people going to Phoenix from Des Moines?
Yeah, there was quite a few people. There's no fans, allowed in the game. There's gonna be family and friends and stuff like that. So there was a lot of Cyclone family members and people like that were coming in. But other than that, it was just normal people traveling. But my flight was completely booked, so there was quite a people coming.
Jeez. So, okay, real quick, I want to let you go because I know you want to get to the stadium and get ready for this big game today. What are the three keys for Iowa State to knock off Oregon and get probably a good top 10 ranking for the end of the year?
I think the first one really is you got to be able to run the ball and you got to be able to stop the run, and that's no different than ever. I think if the Cyclones can get Breece Hall going, that'll really be big to take some pressure off of Brock Purdy. And then, like I mentioned before, Oregon, they want to be able to run the football. They want to, be the more physical team. So I think that'll be one key. Number two is just to control the ball and not turn it over. We saw Brock throw 3 interceptions in that game against Oklahoma. Cyclones got to do a better job of holding on to the football, not giving possession back to the other team. And I think that, being able to run the ball will be big in that sense, just to take some of the pressure off of him. And then the last one is not to let Tyler Shuck get any confidence early on in the game. What can the defense do? Come out and, really be flying around right from the first snap. You don't want to see a guy who's kind of been struggling here over the last couple of weeks really come out and get off to a hot start, and get some of that confidence early on in the game. So I think that those are 3 big keys. I think that the Cyclones I think this is going to be a really good football game. I think that it's got the potential to come right down to the very end. And, the teams that do those things better is probably going to be in the best position.
That's cool. Well, I'll let you go today at 4 o'clock Eastern time. You're in the Mountain time zone, so it's probably 1:30, whatever out there. So enjoy, and hopefully you get some rest and enjoy the game.
Yeah, sounds good, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, buddy. Thanks, buddy. All right. That's cheers, Stansbury, who we always, we get him on the show. He's always that, go-to guy, and, I enjoy having him on. So we talked to him 2 weeks ago. 11:41, we're going to wrap up the show shortly. Hopefully, Rob Moseley will join us from GoDucks.com. Talk Oregon football, the other side of the football. But in the meantime, we're going to get back to some great music here on the program. Let's go with hold on. We're looking for some great music. Let's go with Huey Lewis in the News with a classic 80s tune. Hard rock and roll. Here it is. Hello, Rob. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Thank you so much for taking some time. I know you have a short schedule today, so
Yeah, no
I
problem.
appreciate that. Let's talk about this game. Big game for Oregon playing in the Fiesta Bowl. When's the last time Oregon played in the Fiesta Bowl?
Ducks were here the 2012 season, 2013 game, and beat
Okay.
Kansas State in that game.
Oh, okay, cool, awesome. So let's just talk about this game. You're taking on Iowa State, who are from the Big 12. They played Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship game, and they hung tight, with Oklahoma. And you saw what Oklahoma did to the Gators, ran them out of Texas. I think they're still running, as we speak. Just talk about Iowa State. What do you see from a Matt Campbell type squad?
Well, the two things that the Ducks have been most concerned about, there's a lot to be concerned about, just general overall physicality of Iowa State on both sides of the ball definitely has Oregon's attention. And part of that is, just Cristobal, Oregon's head coach, that's his, that's what he loves about football is physical play in the line of trenches. So when he sees another program that plays with that kind of style, he respects it and appreciates it, and is going to know to be prepared for it. But specifically honing in on a couple things, I think Breece Hall, their running back, has everybody's attention. This Oregon defense coming off a 2019 season when they were just had a they were revitalized under Andy Avalos. This year started off a little different. There were some opt-outs, particularly in the secondary, that certainly impacted this team. And it just took them a few weeks to really find any rhythm. But they started to click, ironically enough, in a loss at California late in the regular season, and then really played well against USC in the Pac-12 championship game. So, Oregon's defense is feeling like I think they've got things going the right direction as they try to deal with Breece Hall. And then on the other side of the ball, the 3-3-5 Iowa State plays with the three high safeties and how that impacts their coverages and the different zone looks that Oregon's going to see. Oregon's got a quarterback in Tyler Shuck, who kind of the opposite of the defense. He started off the season really, really well, and then started to spin his wheels a little bit in that Cal game against USC. We're going to actually use two quarterbacks, bringing in Anthony Brown, a graduate transfer from Boston College. So what kind of quarterback play is Oregon going to get today against an Iowa State defense and secondary that presents a different personnel group and formations and alignments than Oregon will have seen very much the last few years?
Yeah, let's talk about you guys. You were supposed to play. You were not supposed to be playing the Pac-12 championship game. It was supposed to be Washington, and Washington got hit with all the COVID and all that stuff. And then you guys were like, "Hey, we're going to play USC." So what was like going to LA to play in the Coliseum?
Yeah, it was a really weird week. I mean, there was a day, Monday of that week, Monday of championship week, the Ducks actually held a walkthrough. Monday is their normal day off. And so they held a walkthrough that morning to get ready for Colorado on Saturday. They were outside of school, so they could hold a walkthrough on that day, even though it was usually their day off the season. They held a walkthrough Monday morning to face Colorado on Saturday. Find out late in that walkthrough that Washington has to pull out of the USC game. And so scrap the walkthrough, cancel the walkthrough before it even was over, regroup, and then they're back on the practice field that night, Monday night, in full pads, holding a practice to face USC. So there haven't been very many days like that in the history of Oregon football, where you hold two practices in the same day for two different opponents.
Right.
But obviously the team regrouped really well, got refocused, and then played really well against USC.
Yeah, it looked like Colorado played pretty well against Texas, but Texas. I just heard right now Texas fired their coach. It's coming through Twitter right now. Coach Ham. They fired him. I guess they got tired of him. Yeah,
that's news to me.
Yeah, it just broke over on Twitter. I'm like, what? Yeah, I'm like, that's weird. That's good. That's a good way before kickoff. Tell people. But it's going to be an interesting game for you guys today because to me, Oregon, you guys had a late start like the Big 12. Big 12 didn't have a late start; they played since September. You guys are trying to figure out what's going on with COVID, and finally the Pac-12 goes, all right, we'll play a 6-game season and all that stuff. It's 2020 is done, and hopefully 2021 we get back to our normal schedule.
Yeah, here. It's watching that Ohio State game the other night. Oregon was supposed to play Ohio State this year, and it's that's one of those what ifs. Like how would that game have gone? Had it gone off as scheduled back in September? Like I said, Oregon's defense started this season really slow, so maybe that would have been a bad matchup for the Ducks. Then again, the offense started off really well, so maybe it would have been one of those shootouts that would have made it the game of the year in the regular season. So yeah, there's a lot about 2020 that we hope never happens again. That's for sure.
Yeah. So today they're at the Glendale. There's no fans allowed except for the parents of the players. How long have you been there? Have you seen a lot of Oregon fans walking around trying to figure out what to do?
No, we didn't get here till Thursday. Usually, you would have been here for a week, and would have been at a bunch of events around town and all that. But again, this being the COVID year, we didn't. We actually had our walkthrough Thursday back in Eugene, and then traveled after that. So by the time the game kicks off, we've been here less than 48 hours, and we're pretty much quarantined in the hotel just to keep guys safe. They got to go to Topgolf Thursday night, kind of a New Year's Eve event, but it was just the team members. Friday there was a trip to State Farm Stadium just to get a look around and take a team photo, and then a practice at a local high school. But other than that, you're not hanging around town, and we don't have a ton of fans in town. It's just the families. the thing to keep in mind there is this will be the first time we've even had that many fans at one of our games this year. And, some other teams had X amount of fans throughout the year. I think Iowa State was even Iowa State was even playing at 50% capacity late in the year. But we were at 0% capacity in the Pac-12 all season. So just having family members in the stands today is going to be a new thing, a cool thing for the Ducks. So I know the guys are really looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's funny to watch these football games this year with nobody in the stands. You can hear all the curse words and all the like Omaha, for
the two things I really enjoy are hearing that the pre-snap communication, particularly from the quarterbacks, but all over, and then just how giddy, and even at the NFL level, how giddy guys are when they score. I mean, they're giggling like a bunch of school kids whenever somebody scores a touchdown, and I didn't necessarily know that, so that's been really fun to get a little window on that. It's grown men playing a kids game and having fun like kids sometimes too.
Yeah, I was watching the Ravens game last week against the Giants, and all of a sudden Daniel Jones went Omaha. I'm like, why are you using Peyton Manning's Omaha?
Yeah.
That's forbidden, sir. How do you go with why do you go with Tucson or Eugene or something like that? It doesn't have that ring. Well, it's going to be a great game of bowl games here. I know yesterday we had great fun with the national semifinals and the other bowl games, and and the Pac-12. Did Pac-12 only have one team besides you guys? Was it only just you guys, or Texas was one of them, right?
Colorado, in that Texas game, we had some other teams opt out. Some COVID issues. I think Washington, the COVID issues would have made it really hard for them. Some other teams I think just opted out, which I get. It's been a really mentally taxing season. For as much as these kids love to play the game too, part of what makes college football great and fun to play is what's on the line. Right. And so early in the year, when everybody thought they were going to be national champions, everybody wanted to play. But as the protocols take their toll and you go through the grind of the season and how unique this season was, once you fall off of that pedestal and aren't kind of playing for that same stakes, I definitely understand how teams can say, we came up short of where we wanted to be at this point in the season. We're gonna refocus and start thinking about 2021.
Yeah, and plus also some of these kids have been at that school at your campus since August or September. They've never been home to see their families during Christmas break. It's forbidden to go home.
Our punter's from Australia. He hasn't been home in like 2 years basically because of COVID. So he's ready for a little break. And I think we are giving our guys a couple weeks after this game because school's still online, so they can go home to their hometowns and still take classes online. But they won't have to come back and start winter conditioning for a couple weeks after this.
Exactly. Well, Rob, enjoy the game today. Have fun with the get some breakfast. I know there's some breakfast somewhere.
Appreciate it. Yeah. I'm not a morning person, so this is very early for me.
Me either. I got up this morning here at 8 o'clock East Coast. I had to put stuff outside, trash, and all that stuff. I'm like, but I'm the one who made the schedule, so it's like I should have thought about myself.
Blame yourself.
Yeah, just blame this guy. He's the program guy. All right. Have a great New Year and have fun.
Yeah, you enjoy the game.
All right. See you later.
Take it easy. Yep.
See you. Bye. All right. That's Rob Moseley, who covers the Oregon Ducks and Cyclones today at 4. Well, we're done. Thanks for joining us this evening. This morning. Thanks for taking some time for us. This is the last 2 days. We will see you guys on Wednesday at 8 o'clock, 8 to 9:30. We'll recap all the college football playoff with interviews, and maybe you might hear an interview with me and Brian Kelly going at it. Maybe not. Yeah, there's a little, put you on the suspense there. So anyway, we'll see you all on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. So now until then, I am Chris Heidel for Ewan McCreef and for George Mashira, who is enjoying his breakfast with his family. Have a great Saturday, and we'll see you on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. Have a great night, great day.
San Antonio.